call the regular City Council meeting April 1st, April Fool's Day, to order at 6:31. We have a quorum. Everyone is present. We will say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, reports from City Council. Ed Waters.
I don't have anything to report at this time.
All right, thank you, Ed. Rick Fisher.
Nothing to report.
Okay, Jeff Terrell.
Some of you may know our fellow resident, Alice Cisneros. He's on April the 11th. He's going to be inducted into the Texas Aviation Hall of Fame. So if you see him around the island, tell him congrats. I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Alex Scanlon.
No report.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Amanda Fenwick.
So I have a couple things tonight, Mayor. First of all, as a reminder, we do not have a city election on May 3rd, but there are other elections happening, so I encourage you to be an informed voter. Galveston County will have an election that does affect us directly in the city because it's a bond election for the bridge, which does include a pedestrian bridge. And then there is a Clear Creek ISD election, District 1, which represents us, Jessica Cheka, who is the incumbent, and Joe Michael, and then at-large position District B, Scott Bowen, who's the incumbent, and his opponent, Rebecca Lilly. So there is an opportunity for you to meet and hear from the school district candidates. The Clear Lake Chamber is hosting a forum on April 8th. You can watch in person at Nassau Bay City Hall or online on the Clear Lake Chamber website. And then the League City Chamber is hosting a forum as well, and that is on April 17th. And I believe that will also be streamed online, but you can go to both the Chamber's websites and find information about those events. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have a whole lot to report. Mike will not be with us tonight, so we'll move on to Chief David Donaldson.
Mayor and Council, for the month of March, the stats: traffic contacts was 304, 11 DWIs, 3 narcotic offenses, 2 accidents, 2 family violence, 34 arrests. That includes people that have outstanding warrants. That includes the warrant arrest. Assist other agencies, 8. Residential checks, 119. Business checks, 415. And welfare checks, 6.
Okay. Do you know anything about the house fire on Dogwood? Do you know anything about that?
Not that I can discuss.
Okay, that's fine. So, a little bit of knowledge. He has moved into a house right across the street from me. He's renting a house, so he has a place to live. Several people have reached out to him and offered help, and he's doing pretty good, actually. We had somebody come into the office and talk to Angie about permits to rebuild the place and whatnot, so they're working on that as we speak, just to kind of give an update on that. Mike Cram won't be here with us tonight. He had something come up, but he did send me a couple things he wanted me to read to you guys. So on his city administrator report, there was an RFP for debris collection that was released. Cheryl has the details. If anyone needs it, if you'd like to speak on that, Cheryl, you're welcome.
Yes, Mayor, that is the RFP for the debris management contract. The debris management is the people that go around and pick up the debris. As you may remember, we awarded the debris monitoring services back in the summer, so that's 2 separate contracts. And the monitor just monitors the debris management. You have to have both for FEMA. So that RFP went out on March 24th, went to 5 vendors to be opened on April 22nd at 2 o'clock. I'm sorry, April 23rd, Wednesday, April 23rd at 2 o'clock. So we're looking forward to doing that and possibly award the contract on May 6th.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Also, we're working with Colliers to apply for a hazard mitigation grant to fund something they call a safe room. It's actually a new building in conjunction with the city hall, but they call it a safe room, to use in a storm situation. We had a they had a Zoom meeting, yesterday with FEMA and TDM to discuss that process. And you guys all got an email from him explaining that PUC. Remember, he was very upset that he didn't have the answer for that, but that, basically all that is we can raise that fee for them to use our right-of-way up to that amount that was on there. So that's gonna come back in September for us to be able to do that if we choose to. All that is they gotta lease our right-of-way to put their utilities in there, and that's the 2 times a year that we have a chance to up that price if we choose to. Moving on, we will have update on the Clear Lake Shores Clubhouse historical marker. Doris?
Hello? Yep, no.
Says it's on. I think you gotta get it right in your mouth almost. Here, I'm gonna see if I can.
Now.
We're working on it.
Hello, hello.
Now I can hear you.
I may be up here for a while. I'll hold it.
That one's off now.
There you
There we go.
go. No,
It's off again, Julie. Look at the red light.
It's red. Is this good? Wasn't that fun? Okay. I'm Doris Sanders, and I'm the head of the History Committee, which is a committee of the Civic Club, which is kind of what this is all about. Mayor Randy approached me recently and said, "What's this I hear that the historical marker that we're going to receive from the Texas Historical Commission is not about the clubhouse, but about the city." And anyway, that's what I'm here to talk about. I have a timeline that you should all have in your packet, and there it is. This has been going on since June 2023. That's when the History Committee met. We decided to apply for a historical marker for this building, which, as you all know, is going to be 100 years old in 2 years. So we went to the Civic Club and got permission from them to approach the city. You all may remember that we then approached the city, made our case for trying to get a historical marker for this building, and it was approved unanimously. So Jean Garst started working on it. She did an amazing job of research and writing, but she approached the Galveston County Historical Commission, which is the group that we had to go through in order to get the marker. And she was told by Julie Baker, who's in charge of historical markers in the County of Galveston, that we wouldn't qualify. She knew we wouldn't qualify for a building marker because of things like hardy plank that had been added, etc. So she said you can just apply for a subject marker, which has to do with the city, and we could include the Civic Club building, the clubhouse. So we were like, oh, Jean and I both thought that was great. And that's where I know we messed up, because at that point I did not go to the city, I did not go to the Civic Club and say, there's been a change, okay? And I realize now that that was a mistake, and I'm sorry, that's all I can tell you. To us, it didn't seem like a huge deal, because we were going to get a marker, the clubhouse was going to be honored, and it was even better, we thought, because the city was going to be honored. At any rate, you can see on the timeline, we finally were able to send in the submission in March of 2024. And it was approved at the end of July 2024. At this point, okay, all right, you can see on July 30th, 2024, THC approved the application and sent us an invoice for $2,300. And it gives you an idea of how, I don't want to say clueless, because that doesn't sound good, but we were not even positive that the city would pay for that. We discussed in the History Committee how we were going to pay for it. Should the city pay for it? Should the EEC pay for it? Should we have a fundraiser? Should we, each of us, donate money to pay for it? And then I sent the approval, which included the invoice, to Mayor Randy and Mike Cram, and then it turned out that the city paid for it with no questions, so we were very grateful for that. Okay? And then I have there number 9, and so we wait for THC to complete and deliver the marker. At any rate, if anyone wants to see the emails and such that went back and forth, I'd be happy to do that. But we just wanted to explain that the marker we're going to get eventually, no telling when, is going to be for the city, but it's going to include lots of information about the clubhouse, which is one of the most notable things of this city. Okay. Teresa, will you show the marker? Yeah, that. Okay, this is basically what's going to be on the marker. Now, Jean wrote 13 pages. It's a fascinating narrative. If anybody wants to read it, I bet she'd let you. Am I right? That has lots of interesting things about the history of our city. But we didn't have any say in what was actually put on the marker. The Texas Historical Commission took that information and chose this information to put on the marker. And actually there is one change. Just in the last few days, we've realized that we had misspelled George Kessler's name, and we were able to get that changed. So that's it's wrong here, but it's this is a new one. This is correct. Anyway, that's what's going to be on the marker. There's only one foundry that does markers like this in the whole country. And so you can imagine what a backup there is. And we're hoping, actually, that the marker will be available in 2027, which will be the 100th anniversary of when Clear Lake Shores actually started. Not the city, but the community. Let's see. If you're interested, Teresa, you want to show Clear Lake Shores to receive historical marker? No, we're not there yet. If you don't have it, it's okay. It's all right. I included in your packet what I wrote and sent to Mike Cram announcing the fact that we had been approved. And it says Clear Lake Shores to receive historical marker. It's okay, Teresa. But I'm just going to read you the first paragraph of that. This is what was put out by the city. The History Committee of the Civic Club would like to announce that the Texas Historical Commission has accepted our application for a historical marker commemorating our city and our clubhouse, the oldest Galveston County public building continually in use since its inception, which indicates to you we still saw it as honoring the clubhouse just as much as the history of the city. Are there any questions or comments or scoldings?
Let me make the comment first. So I just want to make the comment that Mike and I did talk about this, and we did decide because City Council approved this marker, but this marker was supposed to be, at the time, a marker declaring this building as a historic building. And so we were not aware. It looks like you guys found out pretty early on that you weren't going to get it. And so I understand you're sorry about all that, but I want people to know, I didn't sign that so we would pay for it knowingly. I signed that assuming that we were still chasing this historic designation for this building, which you guys asked us for permission for. So that was my little bit of heartburn, because my name's on a document and now it's not what the city council approved. And I don't want someone thinking I'm doing things shady behind the scenes without authority from our city council, because I can't do that. And so I want to clear that up. I do have one question. Once you guys found out you weren't going to get the marker that city council approved, why didn't you guys come and tell us about it?
To be honest, it never occurred to me. It never occurred to me, because we were going to get a marker. And that was foolish of me, and I apologize.
Well, I'm not saying you're foolish by
We
any
were
means.
we were not being shady either.
Yeah,
We were trying to do something good for the city, and it never occurred to us that we were doing something wrong. What I realize now is, we are a committee of the Civic Club, so we need to work more closely with the Civic Club. And we need to be more aware of the niceties, that's not the best word, with the city as well.
Well, I would say the big lesson here is, when city council approves a specific thing, we can't deviate from that without their approval to move on in a different direction. That's the real lesson here. So, that's really all I wanted to say, is clear that up, that my name's on that document, and no one ever told Mike and I. That's why Mike and I said, well, the council approved this for this marker, in which case we still thought this building was going to be a historic building, and no one ever told us any different.
I understand.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you, Rick, but I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that I don't sign documents just because.
Okay.
Say, that's what I've got the heartburn on. I've got the minutes up and everything, and all the information that you gave us at that meeting where we did that approval. It didn't even say anything about a marker. All it says is, you're applying for the designation of the clubhouse building is a Texas historical landmark.
That was what we
Yeah.
were. That's what we planned to do.
And again, just like Randy said, that's where I've got the heartburn, is when you did not get that designation, you took it upon yourselves to say, well, this will be close enough. And then I was looking at that too. There's hardly anything in there about the clubhouses, what this was supposed to be about originally. Not the
You mean
city.
in the narrative?
Yeah.
Or in the marker?
In the marker.
Right. Which we didn't write. I mean, there's in the 13 pages that Gene wrote in the narrative applying for this, there are 2 pages devoted to the clubhouse. And they chose not to make that the major part. Although they do mention it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mentioned, but I mean, it is totally opposite of what you guys came in here and wanted to get approval for. And I've got some serious heartburn on that. I really do.
Well, I don't know what to do. Other than apologize and say we won't do that again. And tell you we were not trying to be underhanded.
Cheryl, I guess my question is for you. Is there anything we need to do on the books to make sure that we're above the board here? Because we wrote a check for a marker. Did it say historical marker? Does it need to change to say subject marker? I mean, is there anything we need to do on the back end on the books to? On
the application, it's for both. It's for one or the other on the application.
That was my biggest concern, but to your point, we approved the designation, but the marker, I just want to make sure we're not in an audit or anything going to get some
If you want a belt,
X.
if you want a belt and suspenders approach, you could come back now and ratify the authorization for him signing the check for the new designation. I mean, it's a way to clean it up. In other words, so
Or you could have them raise some money and pay the city back.
they could do that too.
I'm just throwing that out there. We need to clean it up one way or the other.
Right, exactly.
That was my whole thing. I just wanted to be above the board, so those questions don't get asked.
Well, this is apparently a much more serious thing than we had any idea of. And-
I'm a little surprised at the level of seriousness. We're just worried about, like, not having misstepped, right? I mean, it's just a historical marker for the city that, quite frankly, do we really have the authority to decide if we get one or not as the city? Is that something we actually have to approve?
Yes.
Well, actually, the city's got to prove it's going on city property. That's got to be approved by the council, plus we paid for it. And like I said, I've got heartburn about being led astray and then us ending up paying for it too, for something that was not what we approved originally.
Right. It seems like a genuine mistake to me, but I think we should correct it. So, looking back, there was no issues, but I'm not upset, Doris.
Thank you, Alec. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ronnie. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hold on. All right. Well, let me please add on to this, because this is called Update. At our last meeting, and we meet almost monthly, the History Committee, we decided it was about time to come before the City Council and show you something that we've been able to do, that we feel really good about, and we hope you will too. And that was before this came up. But we're just going to tag that onto this, all right? So we're ready to go to the portal of Texas history, Teresa. At one of our early meetings, Ronnie, who has a lot of experience with historical commissions and such through League City, he told us about a grant that was available through the Portal to Texas History, which is run by University of North Texas. They have just an amazing portal. And we were able to get a grant which allowed us to send documents and such to North Texas, and then they put them on this portal, which is available to the public. Okay? Probably our number one concern as a committee is not to lose these documents that are falling apart. And we're still working on trying to scan everything we have. One thing about this portal is they did not allow newspaper articles, of which we have many, 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 and they're falling apart as well. But we did what we could, and we submitted several documents and photographs, which you can see. And I want to point out just a couple of them that are interesting, and then I'll tell you how to go to this site yourself if you'd like. It's totally open to the public. Teresa, do you want to go to a couple of those that I mentioned to you? Okay, here's the plat map of Clear Lake Shores from 1927. To us, that's fascinating. Now, you might notice the descriptions that they've written. That was written by the Portal to Texas History and not by us. And some of them seem a little odd, but nonetheless, they're there. And we can go back and suggest corrections if we decide to do that. So there's that. How about going to the one with the homeowners, or whatever it was called, you know what I'm talking about? The Property Owners Association. I think it was on the next page. Anyway, this... Pardon me? No, not the abolishment. Okay, that's fine. So there's that. Well, this is kind of interesting. This is a petition that includes names of the people who were... Go back to that one. Who wanted to... Okay, well, we'll go to this one. No, that's okay. All right, this is the Clear Lake Shores Property Owners Association bylaws from 1928, I think that is. When the city... Before this was a city, it became a city in 1962, there was just a property owners association, kind of like a homeowners association, and they had bylaws, and this is very old, it's several pages long, and it's fascinating. It was only abolished when the city became a city. Okay. Yeah, August 1928. So we think that's pretty cool, and we want that to be preserved, and there it is, preserved. Now you can go to that other one, the deincorporation. Right. This was a petition signed by several property owners in 1964 who wanted to deincorporate the city. There was an election and it did not pass, and that's why we have a city now. Anyway, so we think that kind of stuff is interesting. There's many photographs and such. So if anybody's interested, you might want to write this down. To go to the Portal of Texas History, you go to texashistory.unt.edu, and that's University of North Texas. And if anybody's at all interested in this kind of work, you should go up there. It's very, very cool. They've got all these students doing wonderful stuff. Okay. So that's just one of the things we're doing. Any comments or questions before I hand it over?
I do have a question. So Georgette had mentioned to me that the Civic Club helped you guys get a scanner, and you were just mentioning how these are falling apart daily, basically.
Right.
Have you had any luck getting them scanned in somewhere?
We have not started scanning. Before we can do that, we need to spend a lot of time dividing up all these reams of material that we have, and we've actually started working on that. Actually, Jean is working on that too, but we haven't gotten to the actual scanning, and we're talking with a lot of people in the county who can help us with this. But we'll report back when we get that going.
So does that scanner you have, it won't do it?
It will.
Yeah.
It takes us doing it. It has to be cataloged and has to be referenced. Right.
So what if we had like a historical day workshop with volunteers? Would that help y'all?
I don't think so.
No?
Because it wouldn't help.
Okay,
It's not the actual
labor.
It's not the actual labor of scanning. It's categorizing it all beforehand. It's getting it organized beforehand. Because as you scan, you want to put the information in something like a what? Database.
You guys could have a workshop right here in the clubhouse, and people could come help you do that. Are you having to pay somebody to do it, is what I'm getting at?
We're actually trying to get we've talked about paying somebody, but we're actually trying to get an intern from the University of Houston at Clear Lake to help us. We're all retired, and we're spending a lot of time on this, but we don't know that we're willing to spend as much time as is needed.
It's a lot of work.
It's a whole lot of work.
Yeah.
And we just got from Jackie Binion and her husband Tiny these huge scrapbooks that George Kessler kept of his years in Houston and his years here. I mean, we just keep getting more stuff. And we haven't put out a call for more things. We hope to eventually get more photographs and such, but we're not ready for that. And they're just all stored up there. So, yes.
That's what I was thinking. Because you catalog it after you scan, that's what he's saying. And it'd all be in there with a document number. You can go back.
Jean, do you want to talk to that, speak to that? Jean's been doing a lot of research on this.
The more you handle them, the more they're going to break down.
When we scan the documents in, they have to be scanned in a manner to be prepared, because to be prepared to go into a database. Because our goal is to have a Clear Lake Shores history website with a lot of different components. It might have family profiles of some of our historic families here. It would have the beginning of our city, of course, but in order to be able to have a database that will flow into a website, the scanning has to be done in a certain manner.
I know.
We actually have spent a lot of time talking to experts on this, and we think we're approaching it the right way. I mean, no, we appreciate that, but right. Mm-hmm.
And then upload it when you want to.
I see what you're saying.
Except if we take that approach, we have so many thousands of documents that in order to sort them after they're scanned in would be a nightmare. Everything has to be
we're not planning to discard anything. We're going to hold on to these things. And we don't have a very secure place to do it or to work right now, so we're doing what we can. But you know what? We are open to suggestions, so thank you.
Yeah,
We are. Help.
Okay.
You wanted to, Ronnie said he wanted to, do you still want to say something, Ronnie? Yeah. Is that all right to move to Ronnie? Okay. Thank you.
This falls on the topic of no good deed goes unpunished. So we have 100 years of history here, and we've done nothing to preserve it really as an organization. So a volunteer organization now under the Civic Club has got a committee, and we're working on that. There's about, 6 or 8 people that have volunteers, 8. And so we're trying to save 100 years of our history for people to come, and it's quite a chore. And we've done quite a study of ways to do it, and had gone to a lot of other museums and stuff. And I've been on the member of the League City Historical Society for 25 years, been on the board for 20 years, served as president for 6 years. So this doesn't seem like a big deal, but she put together 16 or 18 pages of stuff that's required by the state to get this plaque. And before we could even go to the state, we had to go through the county historical commission. And so it was a lot of work. And I know that as volunteers, we're not professional. You know, we're going for the marker, and it kind of slipped through the cracks. It was the clubhouse marker, the city marker, whatever. But the fact that we're doing this, they need to be applauded and not, disciplined or brought up here and embarrassed. It really embarrasses me the way a couple of you guys have talked to her about this, and you maybe should have done it on your own, off to the side. But it's your job, I guess, to do that. And I appreciate those that have positive comments, but this is going to have a long-term benefit for us, something that is soon going to be lost if we don't do it now, because there's not that many people here that, first of all, know anything about the past, and there's a lot that probably won't care, but it's going to be something that's very valuable to us. And I really appreciate them, and I think they should have been applauded for what they've done. So I want to thank you for that.
Yes, Jean.
One thing you might be interested in knowing is that we're trying to use the experience of the League City Historical Society, Dickinson, Texas City, and Galveston County. We work closely with those folks who are advising us how to prepare all the documents we have in the most efficient way, how to organize them, how to name our files, and eventually build our website, which we hope you will all be proud of. So we're not reinventing the wheel, we're using a lot of other folks' experience. We meet with them often.
Anybody have any more questions? Okay, well, I'm going to clear up one thing for you, Ronnie. You're on the EDC, correct? Do you guys follow rules, and do you guys have things that you have to be accountable for? Okay, so I can tell you I have talked to Doris. She did not have a problem coming up here and explaining to council after I asked her to. Will you let me finish, please? I asked her to come up here and explain to them what was going on for a reason. Nobody brought her up here to embarrass her. I don't think I embarrassed you, did I, Doris? That wasn't the plan. But when city council gives a specific approval for something, and we do something different, we need to fix that. Okay, that's all this was about. This is not to reprimand anybody. But my name's on that document. Okay, is your name on it? Well, I can see why it really doesn't matter to you, but it matters to me that we're doing the right thing. Okay, and you are part of our EDC. So I don't appreciate you talking to the council like that, like we're reprimanding somebody because we're trying to do the right thing.
Well, you know what? You could have done it by action item on the agenda, maybe. Correct?
We didn't even know what was going on, Ronnie. We needed an update first.
She could have talked to
We
us.
can't talk to her.
She could have talked to us. We had no clue until this packet came out.
The whole purpose was not to embarrass anybody. The purpose was to get those people in the committee to tell council what actually happened on what we approved. Yeah, well, I think she's fine. I'm not sure why you need to take up for her. She's fine. We talked this weekend at the garbage pickup about it. Okay, she did not express to me that she was upset about anything. Okay, well then you should have come to us. Okay. All right, any more questions about this? All right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the public comments. At this time, any person with city-related business may speak to the city council if the topic of discussion is related to an item on the agenda. The comments may be made now or at the time the agenda item is discussed. If the topic of discussion is not related to an item on the agenda, the city council cannot deliberate or take any action at this time. Comments from the public should be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per individual. There will be no yielding of time. Would anyone like to speak to the city council?
Mary Cooney, 930 Elm Road. And I wasn't able to be here last week when it was my chance to report for Parks Committee, so my apologies. And thank you, Rick, for reporting for me. But I just wanted to take one moment on behalf of the chair as Parks is saying a thank you to Laura Broussard. She's not here tonight, and I wish she was, but she is the recent committee member that is that there's a position open for, which is on the agenda tonight. And she served since, I'm pretty sure it's 2021. So 4 years, and at that time she was also our secretary for most of that. And so I just wanted to acknowledge her for her time and commitment to the committee and to the community. So thank you.
All right, anyone else like to address council? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to the consent agenda, items A and B. Check register 3/13/25 through 3/26/25. Council meeting minutes 3/18/25. Do we have any motions on the consent agenda?
I'll move to accept the consent agenda as is.
Okay, you have a motion by Amanda.
I'll second that.
Got a second by Ed. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. Going to move on to new business number 8, discussion and possible action may be taken on the following items: appoint a replacement on the Parks Committee due to the resignation of Laura Broussard. Mike's not here, so I will handle that. You guys have application in your packet. Mary, do you have any recommendation for the council on that subject? I mean, have you guys seen the applications?
You had it.
Yes, we did receive those. There were 2, and the committee reviewed them, and they are recommending Cindy Sawyer as to fill the position until September is when that ends, I think.
Okay.
Any questions?
You guys have heard their recommendation. Is there any motion?
Right. I'll make a motion that we appoint Cindy Sawyer to fill Laura Broussard's place on the Parks Committee.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Got a motion by Rick, got a second by Jeff. Any discussion on that nomination? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. Moving on, appoint a member to Planning and Zoning to fill the vacant position. Is there anyone here from Planning and Zoning with a recommendation?
I'm on planning and zoning. Oh, go ahead. Oh, no.
Oh, you spoke up first.
There's only one applicant, right?
Correct.
It's Laura Broussard.
Correct.
So when she emailed us about not being on Parks and Pools, that's what it's just Parks now, just Parks. I told her, hey, take my spot on Planning and Zoning, because I took the spot on Planning and Zoning 6 months ago because it was vacant, and I was just filling the seat, and that's why she applied. So
So does that mean you're going to be the alternate now?
I suppose, yeah.
You're coming off the regular committee and you're going to be the alternate?
Just trying to get more citizen involvement.
I understand. Thanks for being a team player. So do we have a motion on that subject?
I make a motion that we accept the application of Charlotte Jones for the Parks Committee.
Wrong one.
Wrong one.
Laura
Planning,
Broussard.
planning and zoning.
No, just,
Oh, Laura Broussard, yes, I'm sorry. Laura Broussard for the planning and zoning.
Okay, we have a motion by Ed,
I'll second it.
got a second by Rick. Any discussion? All in favor?
Ed, I think you have to modify that to move me to alternate, because there's not actually a vacancy right now. The alternate is the vacant seat, I think. Isn't that right,
Oh.
Christie? So yeah, the
Okay.
motion will have to be to move Alex Scanlon to alternate and put Laura Broussard in that spot.
Well, but it's listed on the agenda as to fill a vacant position, so,
Well, it's currently held by him,
correct.
and are you resigning?
Yes.
Whatever it needs to be called, yeah.
Okay. Why don't you accept his resignation, fill the vacancy with her, and then
And
appoint him as an alternate?
There we go.
I make a motion that we accept Alex Scanlon's resignation of the Planning and Zoning Committee and accept Laura Broussard's application for the Planning and Zoning Committee, and, what was the last part?
Appoint him as an alternate.
And appoint Alex Scanlon as an alternate.
Okay, got a motion by Ed,
I'll second.
I'll
second by Jeff. All in favor? Motion passes. We'll move on to item C, executive session. If you guys want to go upstairs, we will go into executive session at 7:12 p.m.